So guys, how's everything going? I mean, I gotta know, your comments are more important to me now than ever. Why? Why? Because I was hacked. I was actually hacked by a guy that turned out to be a very friendly guy. And I don't know what that is about my psychology, but the hacker contacted me to let me know that he had hacked me, and he was even willing to give me the codes back. I just had to ask. Not there was a Bitcoin QR code attached. I just needed to respond, and I just needed to tell him that I would like those codes back. What do you think of that? Now, when you get hacked, I'm hoping you guys can see my screen, and maybe you can, but when you get hacked, you don't get to log in. Like, you don't get to log in and see what the hacker is doing. You don't get in at all. So a daily routine for me would be to go see what Errol Hawani's put out. Daily routine for me is sit down over here, see what old Michael Bisping's told you guys, see what Brett Okamoto has told the world. I can do none of those things. And where I left off, and I followed up to see if this was still the case, is Michael Chandler being offered Islam Makhachev. A number of people resisting that. Islam himself resisting it. But I like the idea. I like it from a few perspectives, which is, if not Michael Chandler, then who? Given the fact that Gaethje lost, given the fact that Max Holloway is in fact a number one contender, but chose to cash that golden ticket in down a weight class, given the fact that Circarian is suspended, given the fact that Gamrot's already competed, given the fact that Charles Oliveira doesn't want to do the fight. I mean, as I start to look at it, you go, yeah, it is for sure it's Chandler, or for sure I can see how you could get to Chandler. Not to mention the matchup is there. Like, Chandler's one of those guys, I got to remind myself when he loses. Give you a great example, but I was at Madison Square Garden the night that Chandler fought Justin Gaethje. That was years ago. I watched the fight live and will have to remind myself, oh, that's right, he lost. I mean, it was one of those matches where Michael Chandler's really never lost. Like, sometimes time runs out or sometimes he falls asleep. But I've never seen that guy give up. I've never seen that guy stop trying to win. Like, if anyone's a fighter and has that fighting spirit, not to mention, you have two of the most disciplined guys in our entire sport. It's a rather compelling match. But none of that overly matters to me. Like, by example, I don't see myself sitting here and talking to you guys about the X's and O's of Chandler versus Islam. I don't see that being a thumbnail that I could put out and get much traction with. The part about it that is fascinating to me is not what is being said. It is what is being unsaid. And you had better hear the quiet parts in this industry. Being offered Conor McGregor, and make sure you understand, Red Panty Night is real. Red Panty Night is still real. Conor McGregor is still the guy. Okay? And I tell you that because there's 758 guys under contract. Of those 758 that were eligible in every weight class, every gender, any which way you want to do it, and believe me, we are willing to bend absolutely everything. We're going to make up weight classes. We're going to make up everything we can do. Of all of those people, one person got Conor, and that's Chandler. Wow, that's incredible. Now, it would seem as though lightning had to strike twice, wouldn't it? And sure, within all of our divisions and within all of our genders, however many that is, however many champions we would have an equal amount of number one contenders to receive a world title fight, correct? Okay. But you can see where that would still be coveted. And you would see where that number would drastically change if I told you the number one contender is going to be coming off of a loss. As a matter of fact, for all of our divisions within all of our genders, there's likely nobody to fit that criteria. But when it does, and it is in this situation, you could agree that lightning has struck twice. Okay. Now, the reason I'm attempting to tell you that is it is not as though Michael Chandler is in such good graces that he could be given red panty night and a world title fight and rankings and result and weight classes be damned. I mean, don't forget, this isn't exactly apples to apples. The fight with Conor McGregor was going to be at welterweight, and the world title fight is going to be going on at lightweight. Like, these aren't really interchangeable, which is why it's so important that you're hearing the quiet part. As soon as that offer came in to fight Islam, the biggest thing that we could possibly give, the same phone call came in, you're not fighting McGregor, at the same time. And if you try to clarify that and go, I don't know about that, Chael, I was on the call. Okay, fair enough. But allow me to guess, it was something along the lines of, well, we don't know if he's going to come back. Well, when he comes back, we want to give him you. Well, when and if he comes back, we don't really want locked into any corner, but as of right now, it is you because that's the deal we've made. So amongst other reasons we'd like you to fight Islam, that will be another chip that comes off of the board. Make sure that you're understand. We can wait. We've done that for 2 years now, and it hasn't worked, but we can continue to do that. Or we can give you an opportunity to get on with it. And you did the Ultimate Fighter, and you did everything right, and we like you, and you're a great guy, and you're tougher than hell on top of all of that. Oh, by the way, a world title fight. But if you say no to the biggest thing we have to offer you, whether I'm saying these words or not, the board and the slate is wiped clean. And that's a part that I worry Michael Chandler doesn't understand. And that doesn't mean both things can't happen, by the way. It doesn't mean that Michael Chandler can say no to Islam and still get the Conor fight. But it changes things. It changes things. I'll give you a great example. Recent, the name that you'll remember. Khamzat Chimaev was put in a resoundingly difficult situation, which is known as Kamaru Usman for 15 minutes on 8 days' notice. And Kamaru Usman was put in just of a precarious position to face Khamzat Chimaev on a different continent at a weight class he hadn't yet competed on just 8 days' notice. So to sweeten the pot, it became a number one contenders match. And we all would understand that, wouldn't we? Sure, Khamzat Chimaev found a way and he got his hand raised. And the next world title fight that they did not involve Chimaev. And then you find out, well, yeah, but his hand was broken. He couldn't have done it. Okay, great. But then you return Chimaev and it's not for a world title. How does that work? Well, please allow me to answer. It's quite simple. When you win a number one contenders match, comes a phone call to then offer you a world title match. Now, if you say no, and it doesn't matter, please don't go any further. Doesn't matter if it comes hook or crook, illness or injury, doesn't make any difference. If you said no, that board and that slate is now wiped clean. And that's a concept that every now and then will create hard feelings. Every now and then the boys will go, hey, wait a minute, I was told, and then the house has to explain to them that you are going to be given nothing except an opportunity. And you can say yes or no to it, and it may present itself again, but it also might not. I mean, just for example, like Circarian is the number one contender, and he earned that, and he earned that over Charles. But there was a fan, and there was a punch, and there was a commission, and there was a hearing, and there was a suspension. And as of right now, the plan is still, when Circarian returns, to give him that shot. But that's a very unique world. And that world may not exist if there was a mix-up that is unforeseen. For example, the fight between Chandler and Islam is so damn good, you've got to redo it. For example, Chandler gets the jump on him, and Islam now wants a crack at his own title that he just lost to a guy that wasn't even the number one contender. I mean, not for... You don't know what's going to happen. But everybody wants to be above board. Everybody wants to work with another. So every now and then you have these policies that have a precedence that go back 30 years. But they're not written down, and they're not in a statute, and they're not in a subsection. You can search a contract up, down, and sideways, and you're not going to find it. It's what's unspoken. But it's wildly important that you hear it. It is not a case of you are so wonderful, and you've done such a great job, and you've beaten this and this and this guy. That didn't happen. There was no fights. There was no matches. And so when you're offered a world title fight, it's for a reason. And quite possibly it's for reasons of a conversation that either I don't want to have or I'm not willing to have. Quite possibly I have information that I cannot relay to you. So I'm going to say other words. And you need to follow the industry well enough to hear this that is unspoken. And if you turn it down, it's going to be very hard to come back and look at me and act as though I didn't do my part. Or act as though I wasn't upstanding. I tried to get you what you wanted. I then tried to get you the next best thing, Terry Brands 101. But I couldn't make you take either. But you can't come back to me now for option 3. It just doesn't work that way. So whatever is known by whoever knows it and whatever conversations are not being spoken aloud, the information is still here. And it's not what's being said, it's what's not being said. And nobody gets offered red panty night and a world title and has option C. It has never happened in our industry, and it is not going to happen now.